Like seven, the vitalize. Inner circles here, where voices thrive. Turn on your screens, let the magic unfold. Listening and healing as stories are told. Come on, come on, this is your time. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. Inner Circle podcast where hearts unite. Sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community strong, we're never alone. Together as one, we've created a home. With laughter and love, we break down the walls. No topics too tough, just heed the calls. From mental health woes to justice we seek. Together we rise for the strong and the meek. A safe space for all, let's lift every voice. So join the conversation, let's set the tone. Inner Circle podcast where love is well known. Inner Circle podcast where
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another powerful episode of the Inner Circle podcast. Today is Wednesday, June 4th. It's our regular business segment. So tonight we are going to be doing a mid-year check. I know at the beginning of the year, everybody set some goals, financial goals, and there's a business segment. We're going to do some mid-year check. Where are you with your goals? Are you overspending? Are you underspending? Are you doing some investment? Are you starting some new side hustles? Where are you, right? It's mid-year, right? It's June. So we want to check in. It's a check-in, reality check. So that's what we are doing on this segment tonight. So I'm your host, Abe Kamara, and I have my co-host here with me tonight, Miss B, after taking a long, long vacation. Welcome back. Welcome back, Miss B.
Happy Wednesday, everyone. It's hump day. It's the girl, Miss B. I'm here minding the business that pays me. So let's do this.
Okay. And thanks for joining us, folks. There's a growing movement, a growing community. So subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's growing. Facebook, follow us on Facebook, LinkedIn, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcast, man. Follow us and let's do this. So before we get into the topic tonight, there's something hot off the press, and just want to bring that up quick, and to make some, it's like since the new administration, right, things keep changing in this place. So one of is there's something hot off the press and mostly affecting, African immigrants. So recent, travel ban. Just recently, I mean, it just came out right now. It's like every news channel. For some of you that watch CNN or wherever, right, the national, it's like Trump just signed a travel ban for 12 countries, total travel ban, meaning those countries cannot, their nationals cannot come to the United States, include mostly African countries. There's Equatorial Guinea on there, South Sudan, Somalia, a couple of other countries. And then there's partial ban, right? Another country close to my heart, several units on a partial ban is on there. So it's like, so that's something hot off the press. I mean, whatever your political uh your political orientation and whatever political party you subscribe to in this country, right? These are things that is going to affect real human beings. So just want to throw this out there, right? Here in our Cycle Podcast, we are here to amplify our immigrant voices, tell our stories, and it is something that's going to affect a lot of African immigrants. Is that a lot of them have families. Maybe some of them, their family that are in process of coming here, and now this total travel ban. So just want, hopefully, the administration can reconsider whatever the condition is for that to be lifted hopefully that can happen. But that is something hot of the press, and I would just want to throw that out there. And I will turn it over to my co-host, Miss B. She got another announcement.
So before I get to my piece here, I just kind of want some more clarity. So when you say these countries are not allowed to come to the U.S., are we talking only their elected officials, or are we talking the
Everyone,
all citizens, everyone?
everyone, it's total travel ban. So let's assume if you were in the process of, maybe if you want DV, right, in the process of coming, and now you know there's your country is facing total travel ban, meaning like,
Mhm.
I mean, is that you cannot until that travel ban is lifted. For those partial travel bans, right? Maybe like, I don't know the details yet. I think for the partial ones, there might be some emergency cases where they might consider folks, folks from those countries who only have partial travel ban. And it's only 7 countries. I think it's Sierra Leone, and like few other countries. Sierra Leone is the one that still got to me because it's close and dear to my heart, and things like that. So from Liberia, your family, Sierra Leone, and things like that. So it's very, very close to my heart. But that's the one that stands out to me. But so the partial one, folks in emergency situation could come, but the total one, no matter what, until that condition is lifted.
Wow.
Yeah.
So yeah, Minnesota has been having in at the federal level. Thank you for sharing that information, Abe. That's very important. So, I know we're talking always about money, but the importance of that is, travel impacts your money, right? Your ability to make money too. And so who knows how financially invested folks are from folks being allowed to come from other countries here. So figure out what impact that's going to have on you, and hopefully you guys, it'll be temporary. Hopefully this is not permanent, and you guys can figure out a way forward from that. Another thing here, of course, as we're on the topic of immigrants and bans, we know that ICE raids has been here across the nation. Minneapolis, Minnesota on Tuesday, what happened was, folks were alarmed to the fact that they saw a lot of FBI, DEA, and ATF and ICE on the ground at a restaurant on Tuesday morning. And so it looked like, there was a raid happening. And unfortunately, because people are so traumatized and harmed, and rightfully so, the first thing we thought was, ICE was raiding the place to enforce deportation and collect people and cause harm. And readily the community came together and kind of was preventing something else was taking place on the law enforcement side. They said that was a criminal investigation that was happening. They had a search warrant for other things, and that's why all those folks were on the ground. I mean, but the crowd gathered immediately. They were interference in a way to prevent what they felt like was potential ICE raid happening, right? ICE was on the scene. And we do know that, although folks shouldn't be supporting them, other offices do support them. And so, folks were worried and concerned. Today, the city of Minneapolis is still dealing from the repercussions of what happened yesterday. The mayor came out and made a statement letting folks know that nobody has been arrested due to the situation that happened yesterday. His residents should feel safe. They shouldn't have anything to worry about. But, folks are still watching and following that story, watching to see what other impacts there may be, or what is some of the learning things we can learn from that. I know, nonprofit organizations, different community organizations were keeping abreast with that story yesterday and today.
So I'm curious to know, how did that story spread? Right, it was something that was happening in a specific location, Lake Street. Is it like, these days? I know social media. Did it like the social media pick it up, and then did it spread like wildfire, and everyone started rushing to the scene? How did the crowd
The
get? I mean, how did the crowd gather there?
Exactly. The moment people noticed those uniforms were on the scene, people started calling folks in their network to give
Mm.
them, to let them know what was happening. Lake Street, the area they were in, is heavily Latino businesses, Latino owned,
No.
Latino community.
Okay.
Yes. And so right away, again, due to the current landscape and the trauma folks are facing with these immigration laws and high enforcement of deportation, right away the community started to call contacts. They called the news. Star Tribune was there. I mean, everybody was there on the ground to witness and see what was happening. Again, they formed barriers and community members to prevent potential taking of people, seizing of people, or locking up of people, and no arrests was made on site due to community coming together.
Okay, okay. Well, that's interesting to know. I mean, as I said, right, we live in an environment right now where, in like, especially in the immigrant community, whether right or wrong, right, it's like it's fear, it's trauma, I mean, a lot of stuff going on there. So hopefully, everyone was safe. It's happening all over this country though, right? Because hey,
Yeah.
as I've always said on this platform, the administration ran on immigration and they are aggressively, trying to execute that immigration policy, whether you like it or not. That's what they ran on, and they are just doing what they promised that they were going to do. So we just pray for all of those that are being impacted and being affected by the current environment. Hopefully, this too shall pass. So,
Yes.
but thanks for that. But thanks for that announcement. And folks, we just want to let you guys know, right? It's like as you come on here, there's a platform that is meant to promote the immigrant story, right? To tell the immigrant story, because sometimes the mainstream media is not going to do that. A lot of media are not going to do that. Here at Inner Circle Podcast, we have become intentional, right, to tell our stories. And even other ethnic media, other media you have in our community, they are focused on different things. For us, we want to make sure we amplify our voices, tell our stories. And so, Miss B, thanks for bringing that up. Hopefully everyone in our environment in Minneapolis on Lake Street are safe, and also praying for all those countries that are on the total or partial travel ban. Hopefully, man, your government can do something so that that travel ban can be lifted, whatever the reason was. So with that, folks, we'll jump in to the topic, for tonight, right? As I said, it's mid-year, it's June, it's the middle of the year. Summer season is about to kick off here, so I've already started. So tonight's topic is money move series, May check, right? That's what we are discussing tonight. Money move series, May check, checking in with you, right? If you did set a goal, if you did set a budget, right? I mean, how are you doing? How are you performing? Are you underperforming or overperforming? And what are you going to do for the for the rest of the year? So Miss B, I will start with you. How's your year going so far? And doing a mid-year check, where are you in terms of your goals, your 2025 goals?
I am nowhere near where I wanted to be.
Mm,
I every each week, and I say I'm not big on savings, but we do have to save for the college tuition, right?
mhm.
And so we're kind of behind as we prepare for our graduate here in 2027.
Oh, okay.
We're kind of, yeah, so we're kind of behind. I mean, worst case scenario, we'll take it out of investments, but we wanted a separate pocket, for that college tuition. And so
Mm,
we're not where we want to be.
mhm.
And we're gonna have to get aggressive. And so it's not a coincidence. I would literally, just because it's June 4th and we missed our monthly check-in meeting that my husband and I normally have. It was scheduled to be on Sunday. So the graduation season, the barbecue season, it's kind of
Okay.
impacting our ability to meet. And so we were taking some time, a little bit before the show to kind of go over the numbers, see where we're at. And we realized that we're nowhere near our goal, but we know we can, if we're aggressive, we can get there.
Mhm.
But we just really
Yeah.
needed to pay attention to, we've had some losses in some of our investments, and so that's why. But
Okay.
investment, it's a monthly thing, right? I tell people all the time on this show. It's a monthly thing. You win, you lose. And so, to be honest, as we are doing our mid-year check, we are not where we want to be. We're not broke. We're not
Okay.
broke.
Okay. Okay. Let's like,
Yeah,
well,
I don't want
we,
y'all to go and run. Oh, she's broke. Da, 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 da,
yeah,
da. We're not broke, thank God, by the
yeah,
grace.
yeah.
Yeah, but we're not where we want to be.
Okay. Well, for me, for my mayor check, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, right? It's like I'm in a whole different boat, right? For me, I'm completely on the water because, as I said, right, when you have young kids, there's so much
Yeah.
going on, you know, and things like that. And my kids, you know, I'm gonna have two high schoolers, right? And then, you know, whether you call it fortunate or unfortunate, but it's my personal choice, right? I decided to, you know, send my kids to, you know, to good schools where you know I feel that they can get a good foundation and things like that. So my mid-year check, you know, things are not where I want them to be. I'm kind of I would say totally on the water, you know. But hey, I won't say I'm broke, right? But it's just like right now, I would say maybe it's a it's a paycheck to paycheck moment for me at this point. But
Yes.
also though, right, I'm still kind of you know, keeping in with my investments. Obviously, this coming into this year as well, right? Maybe I've taken on some extra expenses. And knowing how America is, right? Sometimes things come from the, you know, things come from the left, you know, like, you know, from the left curve, right? And just hit you, boom. And then now you have to deal with that and things like that. So my year check, I would say I'm not there here, but like you, I'm trying to reassess maybe where can I, if I cannot cut back on certain things because sometimes you don't have that option, you don't have that choice, right? You just have to do it. But where can I maybe like what other hustles, right? What can I maybe increase my investments to try to have some maybe greater returns, you know, to try to offset, you know, some of these expenses, right? If I cannot cut back on my expenditure, then I need to find, I need to find income somewhere else, you know. So
Yeah.
that's where I'm at. I mean, so that's where I'm at with my mid-year check. We're looking at things, you know, it's like certain things. There's no way that I can cut them, right? Because they are pretty much like a necessity where you know, like I feel like I need to do them in order, you know, in order to get to where I want to get. And having kids sometimes it's not a choice, you know, and things like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, so that's where I'm at, you know, and things like that. But curious to hear from you though, right? As you have gone through the first 6 months, what's working for you financially? You know, what's working well and what's not working well, and what do you think needs to change if you have to change anything? What do you think needs to change?
There are luxuries that we still like to do. I
Mm,
mean, we have not had a very high travel season. My family, we average about anywhere from 6 to 9 trips a year.
okay.
Yes. And we have not had a very high travel season. We traveled in November. We went to Vegas for the Thanksgiving holiday and we stayed put until May. So we just took our first trip this year in May. I think that has really helped us a lot to do that. Another luxury is we tend to eat out, and eating out for us is not buying fast food. We average, you know, even though we're a family of 3, we like
Mhm,
good food, we go to good restaurants, and so every time we eat out, you're averaging about 150 to $200 on the low end, depending
mhm.
on where we choose to go. So that's things we are trying to cut back on. And sometimes we're eating out maybe 3 to 4 times a week. I tend to cook on the weekends because yeah, life is busy. But one thing, you know, my daughter has been smart about was she went on Instacart, she'd order her groceries. So I know just to feed her alone in a week's time, yes,
Okay.
it's $60 if
Yeah.
she eats and buy groceries. She bought
Mhm.
her groceries, she had it delivered, and she did meal prep. She meal prep for 4 days. So she made
Okay.
herself 4 days worth of dinner. And
Mm,
so this week, unfortunately me, because I go to work and I must eat breakfast, we haven't eaten out. We haven't had to buy food out. We haven't eaten out. So it worked. And so, oh my God, I'm going to invest in taking time for doing the meal prep. That's a good way to save money, folks. Buy your groceries, prep your meals over the weekend, you know, do it for 4 days out at minimum, and you'll save a lot of money. So we did not spend money this week on eating out as much as we would have. So those are the 2 things that we really recognize. Even coming into the new year, we said, let's cut down on these travels and the trips. And then recently it was like, let's cut down on eating out. And then we'll see how much money we can save.
yeah. I mean that when it comes to that, right, it's like maybe like you, it's like, you know, travel is my thing. I love to travel. I mean, it's like just the last 3 weeks I've been like, you know, from I was just in Cleveland this week, this gone weekend. The weekend before that I was in Philadelphia. So it's like, you know, and sometimes these are necessary trips, you know, you have to take. But you know, travel is one of the things too, you know, coming to 2025, even maybe I have not traveled much actually this year, but for the last 3 weeks it's just been back to back, you know, and things like that. Because hey, like my sister's son was graduating, you know, in Cleveland. I needed to be there, and then we had another event in Philadelphia that I really needed to be there and stuff like that. So sometimes it's a necessity, that you have to do, but it's something you look at. Traveling is very, very expensive, folks. Traveling is expensive. Those ticket prices are not cheap. And then for me, I love convenience, right? I think we all love convenience. If you travel to a city, I love my rental car and my hotel because I don't want to
Hotel, yes.
inconvenience. I don't
Oh,
want to
yes.
inconvenience anyone, right? When I
We
want to go, I
never
want to
stay
go.
with people. Yes.
If I want to go, I want to go. If I anytime I want to wake up, in my hotel, I want to wake. That's when I want to wake up. I want to go eat breakfast. If I don't, what I mean? And then if I have friends in the city, and go and visit them, spend some time with them. But at the end of the day, I want to come back and crash in my hotel. So traveling is very, very expensive. So that's one thing you always kind of have to check. And so now when you travel, right, you don't just want to sit in your hotel. You want to go sightseeing. You want to do
Mm,
things. That too kind of is very, very costly. So with you, I mean, it seems as you is like something like, okay, coming into this year, I was thinking like, okay, do I have to do these travels quite a bit? And for me, though, my travel is just within the United States, right? I just like to see different cities, see different environment.
yes.
Every city has
Yes.
different vibe. Sometimes different things going on in these cities. You meet old friends, family members and things like that. So it's just different, and things like that. So I think, travel is important, but sometimes you have to kind of, media, you have to assess, right? Okay, am I traveling too much? Am I spending money on these travels? And even when I travel, do I need to do a rental car? I can just do Uber. The downside though, sometimes when you do Uber become more expensive than a rental car, right? Because
Exactly. No, I I think the most things if you want to cut back on the travel is which airline you use. You can save money
okay,
on your airfare.
okay,
The rental car is always going to be the cheapest cost to me. And
mm,
then if you want to compromise, depending on where hotel you stay at,
mm,
and the hotel is just not a compromise when it comes to my family. So the best thing is let's just not travel at all.
okay, yeah, 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 definitely,
Yeah.
definitely, yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. And then the other thing you brought up about the eating out thing, especially when you have kids, right? Okay, for me, I'm not big on eating out. It's my kids, and yeah, it's like they pick the most expensive place that
Yes.
where they want to order food from. So thankfully sometimes my daughter, is like the same thing, meal prep. Sometimes she just want to go to the grocery store, buy her stuff, and then she do meal prep. And the week a month when she's in a good mood, when she does that, I actually do save because I don't have to worry about buying her food or buying them food every day. So I think, the grocery is something you always have to really, really look at, right? Is that that line item can take away, can take away a lot, because like as I said, when you have kids, these kids, these kids can really, really eat. And my kids sometimes, as I said, they pick places where I say, what, they want to make me bankrupt because it's like, but hey,
I
it's tough.
mean, we went to Crave last weekend, mothers and daughters,
Okay.
the four of us.
Mm,
And this was happy hour. This was us trying to save money, right?
mm,
So it was like, oh,
mm.
your daddies are not here. No steak budget here today, right? We
Okay.
still ended up spending $176
Yeah, yeah,
for
yeah,
four
yeah,
of us at the restaurant. I was like, what? I was expecting this to be like a $50, us
yeah.
two, $50, y'all two, maybe at the
Mhm,
most. But
mhm.
no, you're right. I mean, the best thing to do is just don't take them to the restaurant, period,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
that
yeah,
bill is
yeah.
going to be high.
Yeah. Well, folks, tonight our topic is money move series. May year check. How's your budget going? Did you set a budget this year? How's your 2025 going? What goals did you set? How's your money moves? Are you overspending? Are you underspending? Are you doing any kind of an investment? Have you looked at your budget lately? Have you looked at your expenditure? Is there something, do you need to maybe look into another car insurance, or maybe look at your grocery bill, or maybe not travel as much? And for all those, yesterday here, right, on the podcast, it's talking about these lavish graduation parties. Do you need to cut down on them? And all those stuff. So here, man, check here. So we are doing a May check. You can contribute to this conversation by calling our number 952-594-5154, or you can put a comment in the chat. How's your year going so far? It is June, man. Time flies. Someone once told me the month flies, the month go by very fast in America, and the year as well, right? Once it's like
Yes, it's
we're
already
already in June.
June.
Before you
Yeah,
before you see
man.
it, it's gonna be July, and then December, and then you say, oh, what did I achieve this year? So
Yeah.
here at Inner Circle Podcast, we are being intentional tonight on this business segment to do a mid-year check. How's your finances going? are you on track of all the promises you made of the New Year goals and things like that? So, Ms. B, I know you said you and your hubby when they wanted to do like every month you guys look at your budget. But for the last 6 months, have you guys kind of done a budget review, see where you guys are? It's like the goal you guys set. Are you guys on track? Have you looked at your budget basically?
No, because we have looked at our budget, right? And so we're
Hmm.
not on track because what happens is we're saying, okay, maybe we'll save. And the money we're talking about when we're saving is again just to put in to this college fund. The goal
Okay.
here is to have $100,000 to support her to go to college,
Okay.
in savings, right? Right.
Hmm.
I know. And so we calculate, okay, so if we save 5 grand every month just for that, right? But what has happened is insurance has gone up for properties. So,
Hmm.
we own properties. We are investing in real estate, and those properties are getting more expensive to maintain.
Okay.
We've seen an additional 4,888 increase monthly this
Mm.
year,
Okay.
for investing in our properties, right? And
Okay.
so we're seeing that's what's causing some of this loss.
Mm.
And those are things that we really can't control, as
Hmm.
far as HOA fees, insurance for the properties, all
Yeah.
those things. We really can't control them, and so that's why we have these additional costs. And then property wear and tear.
Yeah.
We undertook a renovation, and moving folks in, taking the rent up. It still hasn't paid for itself yet. And so
Hmm.
that's why we're hoping by July, August, we will see less of our income going out, and staying in, because hopefully these investment in the renovations and things and getting tenants in these properties that were sitting empty, we will start to see some of that loss. We'll start to gain it back as when we receive rental income.
Just curious though, right? Like like the renovation you talk about, or some of those, or some of the things you're doing, were those like planned, or like, or were they like or are they unexpected events that just came about, and you guys needed to do them maybe in order to increase, your potential, income.
One of them was planned. It was to increase our potential income. But again, administrative changes,
Yeah.
tariff is the cost of goods going up.
Yeah.
The budget that we had planned, we kind of doubled. We had to double that budget, right, in
Mm-hmm.
order to complete the project. So those were some of the things that we didn't project. We
Mm-hmm.
estimated how much it would cost and ended up costing more.
Mm-hmm.
So those are some of the things that we didn't project. And then again, like I said, HO fees, property tax fees, those are not things that we can plan for. Those are not things that we can ultimately control. So those are the things that we have to get better at estimating. And then some of the properties, like I said, major damages or costs that were not projected. They weren't planned renovations, but just things happen when tenants are there,
Yeah.
or the property not being property maintained, and you have like a pipe burst, right,
Mm-hmm.
out of your control. Now
Yeah.
you all are dealing with water damage and stuff like that. So yeah, those different things have happened to us this
Mm-hmm.
year, unfortunately. But again, we have to pay to play this investment game.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the thing though, right? I mean, I know for you, you are very, very heavy in real estate, but even like for those just, single family homeowners, right? Home expenses are kind of I think go up, like year over year,
Yep.
whether you are investor or just a regular homeowner, I think goes up every year. And sometimes like you have unexpected expenses coming up, and it's difficult sometimes to try to adjust for them, or to try to plan for them, or try to say, okay, how best can I, try to navigate it, right? And the whole insurance piece, right? It's like property taxes. I think that it goes up every year from
It
you know what I
does.
mean?
It does.
For me,
It
it's like
does.
I feel that that crap goes up every year. I'm wondering, okay, I haven't done any major improvement to my home. Why you keep increasing my property price? Tax. I mean, property taxes and
Because
stuff
that's
like
like
that.
probably 25% of it is the value of your home. The rest is different things that the city, school
Hmm.
board, all
Hmm.
those things levy your property tax to help pay for. The county gets a part of that, the city gets a part of it. So there's different things that your property tax is paying for that has
Hmm.
nothing to do with the value of your home, honestly. So, but
Okay.
that's, and therefore it's going to go up every year.
Yeah, I mean, that's crazy. I really can't understand that though. But as we do this mid-year check, right? Is at this point in time, is this is there something, do we advise, like, or do you advise, right? And I have my own opinion on this, like, as folks look at their situation and look at their and look at where they are, do they need to do like seasonal, seasonal adjustment changes, and things like that? I know it's summer season, right? So now summer season can be busy because the kids are home, as I said, it's graduation season, I mean, especially in our African immigrant community, right? This graduation season seems to be competition now, right? Everyone, everyone trying to outdo one, everyone's trying to outdo one another. As I mentioned here last night on the podcast, right? It's like the phenomenon that's going is this Lapa red carpets, those sasas, those drums and stuff like that, and then the spraying of money. So it's like everyone's trying to outdo one another. But do we need to kind of have a reality check, right, and do some seasonal adjustment? I mean, summertime is hard because kids are out of school and everything is going on. What's your thought?
Um, First of all, the spending started from prom. I don't know if you were paying attention to the proms.
Okay, yeah, someone
The
someone told me
the
someone told me that. Okay, yeah, go ahead. Educate
the
me because
the
my girls are not
prom,
there here. So
you would think J Lo, or you would think Puffy and Beyonce and Jay Z kids were going to prom in the month of April. I mean,
wow.
the ordered dresses, right? The tailor
Hmm.
made dresses, the tailor made suits.
Hmm.
Kids were wearing $200 to $300 shoes. Parents were renting Rolls Royce. Yes,
Wow.
yes. Rolls
Wow.
Royce was rented. Maybachs, Maybachs were rented, right?
Whoa. Yeah.
And even though it's rented, you're talking about maybe $36,000 plus the insurance. Or, I'm just these. This is expensive to rent these vehicles. Not $36,000, maybe like 3,000 or more to rent a
Yeah.
vehicle.
Yeah.
So these prom price tags were probably averaging 10 grand here, Abe, for just
Wow.
prom.
Wow.
Yes, for just prom. Between
Mm.
her hair, her nails, her dress, the shoes, and then mind you, the partner, right? The date.
Hmm.
And then, like I
Yeah.
said, the car, they got to go to the restaurant. This is all before they even get to the prom, which the prom itself is probably about what, 2-4 hours. So you're spending all this money for a
Yeah.
few hours, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And then you go to graduation day. It's the same thing. You got to get her dress, right? Nails, hair, clothes. I mean, dress, shoes. And then you throw the lapa. And people showed up with the new thing is now the bouquet that's made with dollar bills or whatever amount of money they chose to put in there. Like they
Oh
were
wow.
this big. They were toting them around in the arenas. Yes. And my husband looked at it like that has to probably be about $300 to $500 in the money bouquet, if you want to call it that way. Yes.
Okay. Wow.
This is this is how people are spending money. They're gonna decorate the hall like a
Mm,
wedding or baby
mm,
shower.
mm,
So they're gonna decorate the hall for the graduation or the park, even if it's
mm,
in the park. They're
mm.
gonna rent this big park. They're gonna decorate the hall. They're gonna do a U-Haul size truck for liquor. Food is going to be lavish. So maybe you're gonna send another maybe 5-10K. This could cost people $15,000, right? To
Yeah.
have a graduation season and barbecue. And so I'm just like, man, I don't think I can compete. I don't want to compete. And then I want to do a poll, Abraham, like how many of those kids are actually going to college?
I mean, that's it, folks. You heard that, right? And you can, if you are listening to us, are you going to listen to this segment? Is that we want to know all of those graduates, all of these lavish, these graduates that are having these lavish parties, especially the high school ones. If you are graduating from college, maybe I might give you a slack. Maybe I might give you.
None of this happens for college. That's the sad part, right? None
Okay.
of this. You would think the
Yeah.
thing that's most expensive, the degree that's most expensive, the most
Hmm.
hardest to get, because
Hmm.
college is not an easy feat. High
Hmm.
school, I'm sorry. The teachers, they give them like 5 or 10 times to take a test these days.
Hmm.
They,
Yeah.
they give them ample opportunity after opportunity to get the homework in. But college, I don't see anywhere where I see this lavish type of celebration or recognition happening when it comes to college. They're spending all this money just from graduating from high school. And then again, I was like, I really challenge how many of these kids are actually going to college.
Yeah, exactly right. And that's a pool we're going to put out there, right? Is that for all those high school graduates in our African immigrant community, who are immigrant community that are graduating, having these lavish parties, man. I want to know how many of you guys or how many of these kids are going to college, And one of the things I said here last night, if the 4 year is daunting for you, start with a 2 year, right?
Yes,
If four
yes.
years is daunting for you, start with 2 year, because as I said, man, in this America, time flies, right? It's like before you go look 2 years, boom, and then another 4 year bump. So if the 2 years daunting for you, 4 years daunting for you, start with a 2 year. But want to know how many of you kids, how many of these kids that are graduating from college, high school, that are actually going to college? We want to know, so hopefully we can take a
Inner Circle do a poll on Facebook.
exactly, exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
a
And that's what
Facebook
I want to know. We
poll.
want to know how many of the 2025 high school graduates, right? Class of 2025 high school
How many
graduates.
are college bound this
Yeah.
fall?
How many are college bound this fall? We're
Yeah.
definitely going to give you that. We're going to bring that statistics, but we're going to do this pool, we're going to conduct this, and then make sure, right, come back to you here and give you an update, right, to see how many of these kids are going to college, right? Because it is very, very important, man. If you're having these lavish parties for these kids, it is important that they go to college and try to pay back or pay forward. But the one thing though, like that you brought that topic up about these lavish parties, I mean, from the prom. Maybe first of all, let me just say that my girl's gonna be mad at me, because when they reach out, I think I'm gonna say nope. Simple. If you want to go to prom, simple dress, man. And whoever the dude that's gonna come around, he better make sure it's simple, nothing lavish here, nothing out of the ordinary. Because guess what? I'm gonna be wondering, like, are these folks living within their means or out of their means? Did they even budget for this moment, or they just decided, hey man, I'm gonna treat my child, I'm gonna just it's my child, right? I'm gonna spoil them, basically, as we say in our in our liberation, I'm gonna spoil them. But I mean, when you look at this kind of situation, are folks living within their means when they are doing these things, or are they just spending lavishly and not really looking at the consequences or the ramifications?
No, I don't think. I mean, I don't know everybody's
Yeah,
income. I don't know what
yeah.
people's money is, but I can just kind of do an assessment, and say, okay, I know what career field they're in. And when I think about, unless, like I said, unless they saved, right?
Hmm.
But what I find is maybe they worked some doubles. And
Hmm.
for me, working a double is not even an option. I'm salary, so I'm set.
Hmm. Yeah,
I know what I'm gonna have. I
yeah.
can't make more, right? Like you
Hmm.
said, I would have to have gotten a second job just to say, okay, this is that money I'm going to work for to
Hmm.
do this lavish type of spending. And sometimes that is the benefit of folks who work in these hourly jobs, that you can,
Hmm.
take on multiple of them,
Yeah.
one or two, work doubles,
Hmm.
to bring in that money for that project or that thing you're trying to do. But I would say, if I gotta go and work my body, basically that's what you're doing, work your body extra super hard, is that the best way to spend it, right?
Hmm.
Um, if you're working this hard to say, hey, let's take you out to dinner. You graduated. Yay. Now let me take this money I'm working so hard and invest in your college career, right? Because that's
Hmm.
a better return on your investment. If that child, hopefully that child goes to college, they graduate, they're working a good paying job. As you start to get older and you're getting tired and from the wear and tear has happened on your body, they can now, pick up where you're going to leave off and take care of you. That's how I see the investment, right?
Yeah.
Is that with my child, investing in her college, first of all, I'm starting her off on the right track to not have a debt, because we
Hmm.
know tuition and debt is the one of the biggest debt we can incur here, in this country.
Yeah.
And so I'm helping her right there to not have a debt. And then also, hopefully, I'm investing in her to come now and take on all these things that we have started, that she can
Hmm.
have the right knowledge and experience,
Yeah.
come and finish what we started.
Yeah. The thing though, right? First of all, let me just do the plug here. Folks, tonight we are discussing, it's mid-year, it's June, so we are discussing money move series, a mid-year check. How you spending your money? Are you having those, if you're having a child graduating from college, are you one of those having those lavish parties? Have you checked your budget? Have you checked your finances? Are you doing any kind of a side hustle? How are you trying to grow your income? So we are just doing a mid-year check, and that's a conversation Miss B, my co-host Miss B, and I having tonight on the business segment. So you can contribute to the conversation by calling our number 952-594-514-5154, or putting a comment in the chat. But one thing I want to throw out there, right, I'm going to age myself here a little bit. You know, I know 2002 when I was graduating from high
The
school, right?
beer
It's like,
didn't do it. The beer doesn't give them the age. Just
well,
kidding.
who knows, right? You know, I mean, stuff like that. So, but I'm still I'm gonna age myself. 2002, when I graduated from high school, it was just a simple, very simple.
Me
What
here.
we used to like, all of my classmates, right? All of my classmates always, it was just like, it was like everyone is like just simple. It was not even a barbecue. It wasn't a barbecue. Maybe like your parents will have like sandwich or whatever, you know what I mean, and things like that with some fruits, and your classmates come, right, just to identify with you, right, and we just sign each other. It's like, I mean, you go to your friend, graduation stuff. It was not even a party. It was just like, I don't know, like I would have to check what was the name. You just go to your, like, having a graduation get together or whatever. You just go, right,
Hmm.
sign their card, and say, hey man, so we just like, if two or three student are having it, we just go around, check in, see what's up, sit with them, chat with them, see where they are going to college. Everyone, the big thing was where everyone was going to college. And then
Yep.
2006, when I was graduating from college, there was none of that. As I said last night, I said here, right? I'd never had a red carpet, red carpet movement, or the bouquet, or the money bouquet movement. I never had any of that. It was just another simple. But I mean, the phenomenon now in the community, right, is like, is it lavish parties, especially like I said, right? These lavish, graduation ceremonies, right? Especially for high school. Wondering, man, is like, where are folks getting this money from? Are they, as you said, maybe it's like they have been saving for it, I mean, our community. I mean, some folks are working two or three jobs, trying to maybe save for those moments. But is that a right investment, though, right? To your point, is that a right investment, right? Should you actually try to go all out, right, just to do that for your child? And
No.
the way to me, right, my experience that I've had, it's the same thing I'm gonna do. I tell my kids, right, that's the same route I'm gonna go. You graduating from high school. First of all, when you graduate from high school, we already know where you're going to college. And then if you're not if you're not on the right track, you might not even have that little barbecue or little ceremony, right? And things like that. And then when you graduated from college, right, is at that time now you're about to earn your own money. So we're just going to do a little thing for you, right? And then the day you go, you want to celebrate where we can come in. But as I said, the point I'm trying to make, back in the day, right, there was not those lavish. It's just, I've started noticing that phenomena in our African immigrant community just lately, is that folks are going all out. I'm wondering, like, okay, what's driving that? What's driving that? I mean, are folks making more money these days or what?
No, I think it's a show. It's a competition. If
Hmm.
you fall for it, you will end up spending money. I think a lot of the folks that are showing the show are more of the folks that really probably can't afford it than the people. Because if you can afford things, I think the people that have money tend to be a little bit more frugal with their money, right? Some people, not all.
Yeah.
And so I can, like I said, when I see the post, I can kind of tell who is living within their means and who is not, right?
Hmm.
For me, I'm not gonna lie, I was a little bit spoiled. I graduated from high school. I had the nice prom, but not like, I don't think my prom cost my parents $1,500. You know, yes,
Hmm.
I had my dress made, but back in those days, having a dress made was probably like $80, $100. I had my dress sold. My boyfriend had a nice car, so we used his car. We didn't have to rent a car. So prom did not cost me a lot. I graduated. We just had a big barbecue in the backyard. There was no renting of tables and chairs. There was no decorating that yard. There was no, all the exuberant things that they do these days just to have a barbecue in the backyard.
Hmm.
None of that. And I got a lot of money. I remember everybody was bringing cash, had it in the envelope. And that's the thing, people don't even bring gifts anymore, right? To these
Hmm.
barbecues we're having. And that was back when I was graduating. That was the momentum behind the barbecue, that people would show up and give. So I got a TV, I got a VCR, I got different things that I took on campus with me, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But back to the thing about college bond, me and all my friends that graduated, every time we had a barbecue, we had announced what college we were going to at our
Yep.
barbecue.
Hmm.
Everybody was college bound. I was sitting here thinking when you were talking, is there one person I can think of that was a part of my really inner circle of my crew from high
Hmm.
school, graduated from Park Center. I'm so happy. I'm a pirate. Shout out to Park Center Pirates that are
Okay.
graduating this year. Congratulations. everybody was college bound. Everybody had their college announcement or you did your barbecue in your college color,
Mm-hmm.
something to represent the college you were going to. And I'm going to barbecues, even started thinking back to last year and hopefully in some of the ones this year, I'm not seeing them college bound.
Mm,
And that's the
mm,
first thing I ask the graduates, like, what's next? Where are we going?
yeah.
Whenever I show up, I'm like, what's next and where are we going?
Mm.
And there aren't many of them where I can say there are plans,
Wow, wow,
unfortunately.
wow. That's sad though. That's sad. But hopefully, man, hopefully it's not late, right? Sometimes there's still a lot of colleges out there. I mean, community colleges. If the 4 year, last night as I said on this platform, if 4 years is daunting for you, start with a 2 year, right? The 2 year will kind of get you thinking, hey man, I think I need to do this. And before you know it, boom, 2 years gone, 4 years gone, and you have that degree. And folks, don't take it like that, man. You know what I mean? Times are changing, the world is changing, AI is coming. It's that AI is coming to take all of our jobs, all of our jobs. So if you feel like high school graduation is enough and you're not going to do anything else, don't, as I said last night, don't settle, man. You gotta take that leap. You gotta take that leap. But let's
But I
pivot here a
want a
little
quick
bit.
shout out to
Yeah.
my niece Kiana. She graduated last night with
Okay.
honors, and she is
Okay.
headed to college. And so I'm
Okay.
excited for her. Great job, Kiana.
Mm.
We're very proud of you.
That's good. That's good. And to all, first of all, right, to all the graduates, I said last night, congratulations, high school, college. And for those high school kids heading to college, man, kudos, extra kudos to you, hopefully. And for those who still trying to make up their mind, please make up your mind. You still have time, right? September is around the corner. I mean, some colleges still be accepting students here and stuff like that. So
Yep.
don't say it's too late. It's not late, right? I mean, it's like, why are you why are you on your summer vacation? You can still make that decision, right? It's like if your parents, have that conversation with your parents, right? You guys sit down and decide what it is that you guys want to do. But let's try to pivot a
And
little
I
bit
like to
though.
volunteer. Like if mom and dad don't know how to navigate the college
Mhm.
system,
Yeah,
please, I am here. I'm available. Come and look me up, reach out. I can help you guys complete that FAFSA application, complete that college application, get you to the admissions process. Yeah, I'm willing to do that. Let's have a plan. Let's create a plan for you to be college bound. It's not too late.
I mean, kudos for you doing that, right? And that's the beauty of Inner Circle Podcast as well. We have a lot of great resources here, and that's the thing we want to always do: bring resources to the community. It can be any of our panelists, any of our networks, and things like that. So it's that we want to bring resources to the community. So folks, Miss B is offering her services free of charge. If you're still trying to navigate the college environment, if you are not sure where you want to go to college, if you are not sure, if you have not made any decision, she's offering her services free of charge, pro bono, and things like that. So
Yes,
I
free of
hope
charge.
I hope you guys can take advantage of that. But as we pivot here a little bit, as we are doing this mid-year check on these money moves, right? Let's focus on some income growth and side hustles, right? It's folks out there, it's like say, okay, if maybe they are, you know, maybe working one job or maybe things are not going well for them. Do you think it's wise to maybe try to see how best they can find another gig to grow their income, or maybe find a side hustle to do something that there are a lot of opportunities out there, right?
Yeah, so I think like if you're somebody who's in a salaried position,
Hmm.
the easiest thing you can do is do some kind of consulting contractual work, right? Like
Hmm.
for me, I've been working on revamping my consulting firm
Hmm.
and being smart about it, right? So prior to the pandemic, I had
Hmm.
decided, okay, every year I will budget to take on additional $60,000 in projects, which wasn't too
Mm.
much of a heavy lift. Yeah,
Yeah.
which wasn't too much of a heavy lift, right?
Hmm.
Of course, work got more demanding. I moved up in my company, and
Hmm.
so I wasn't able to practice do a lot of
Hmm.
consulting work.
Hmm.
But this year, as you grow your team and you're strategic about how you train your team, you
Yeah.
find capacity. And so I've been working with another consultant, right? Getting
Hmm.
executive advising
Hmm.
and how to strengthen my consultancy, bring on some partners,
Yeah.
and just on projects that I know I have the capacity to do.
Yeah.
That's for me is a clear way to bring in additional income. So hopefully I can bring in another $30,000 just this year on
Hmm.
a small scale, part-time scale, not full-time, with a
Hmm.
consultant. So if you're good in finance, you're good in accounting, strategic management,
Yeah.
organizational leadership. These are just some skills that you can channel into a consultancy or contractual field. And in the consultancy doesn't mean you need to go create this whole, like structured. It can
Yeah.
just be as simply as you
Yeah.
and your social security number and a contract, really.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
I just
Exactly.
know
Yeah.
what work that you're gonna do, how
Mm.
much you're gonna charge. You use your social security number for your W-9,
Mhm.
and they contract you, and that it could just be that simple.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, that's a great point, right? To all you salary folks out there, to all you folks in the corporate, world, I think consultancy, right? If you just doing that 9 to 5, you just want to come and sit home, man, you gotta maybe take Miss B advice, right? Maybe like you should look at consultancy. The one thing about we African immigrants, right? We have a lot of talents, but sometimes we are sitting on those talents because we feel, oh, life is so busy, I don't have the time, it's too much work. But you got to put in the work, man. You know what I mean? If you're not putting in the work, things are not going to work out for you. Hopefully, you can take Miss B advice and try to look into that. But as we move, down the line here, right? The other thing, as we do this money moves and media check, what's about debt management? Maybe like your credit check. She first be looking at that media, right? She look at your credit, see how much you're spending on debt. Because man, sometimes debt can be huge burdens, right? And maybe again, right, just to maybe go back to these elaborate college, graduations, right? You might think,
They're
well, I mean,
probably sitting on
sometimes,
credit cards.
yeah,
Yeah.
sometimes that be something that folks are swapping those credit cards, just to make sure to make that happen. But what's your thought, on the whole debt management stuff? And I mean, the overall credit help, right? Should we be looking at our credits? Should we be doing that? And maybe if my credit is in 600, let me start see what is on there that is holding me back. How can I make sure maybe I improve it to 650? Because those things can really really help you in the long run.
I think folks should always be looking at your debt to income ratio. That is a huge thing when it comes to maintaining that great credit score, right? If your credit
Mm-hmm.
score, if you're trying to be between a 675 and maybe a 750, your debt to income ratio is very important. And the thing that clearly impacts that the most, to me, I feel like my mortgages, they don't impact my credit score as much as credit cards.
Mm.
Credit card debt. I hate credit card debt. I hate credit cards. I think credit cards is evil. So seriously, from 2017 to 2022, so that's like 5 years, I did not have a credit card to my name. And I
Okay.
and I was a property owner, right? And I feel like as soon as you get credit card, then the next thing you know, you have all this debt that you didn't plan to, because the biggest trap you fall into, like, oh, I'll charge it, I'll pay it off. Oh, I'll charge it, I'll
Yeah. Yeah.
And it doesn't ever really work like that, right? Unless you have
Mhm.
no responsibilities whatsoever. The moment you get that credit card and you put something on there, you'll start putting other things on there, and it would become overwhelming. And so right now, I'm still good, but I don't like the amount of credit card debt. I'm going to be honest. I don't like the amount of credit card debt I have now, and I'm working towards those. That was one of the real things I looked at today, and I said, I need to get these things paid off here before the end of the year, because I know
Mm.
we're trying to purchase. Still, with everything that's been going on with our properties, we're actually looking to make another purchase
Mhm.
again this year. And so I have to decrease my debt to income. And so the fastest way to do that is lower those credit card debts. How do you know which one to tackle? Review them and see which one is giving you the most highest, which one has the most highest interest every month. So the one with the highest APR, annual percentage rate, it's called the APR, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. APR, APR or
Yep.
APY, anyone. Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Pay that one off sooner. The one with the highest APR, pay that one off sooner, right? Like you'll find maybe your MasterCard and your Visa card will have higher APRs than a retail credit card. So, keep your retail credit card at that lucky number. That good number is 30%. If you're serious about your credit, it should be 10%. Just giving you guys some education today. I know most people would say 30%. What I realize is that good number is no more than 10%, meaning you're not carrying no more than 10% of the amount of the balance owed on that card is no more than 10%. I know folks like to say 30%, but try to stay within that. Try to keep it at 10%. Again, pay off the stuff that is not necessarily what has the highest balance, but what has the highest APR.
Yeah. I mean, so when it comes to the credit card stuff, one thing I've learned, I used to, I mean, it's like I used to have two, three, but I realized, okay, I don't need two, three, four or five credit cards, So at the end of the day, because the only reason I think, like, you know, for me, the only reason why I need a credit card is when I travel, right? It's like maybe like, rental car or hotel or these things here, they need your credit card. And so my bank, right? It's like I just went and said, hey man, I need X, Y, and Z amount, and that's what I use. Okay, it's like anytime I travel, I make sure that I have my credit card. So it's like all of the other credit cards just got rid of them. And to your point, credit card can really become a death trap. You know what I mean? And stuff like that. It can trap you. And it's tempting. Every time you have that stuff, you want to swap it, you want to do
Mhm.
this. When an emergency come up, that's the first thing you want to turn to. You know what I mean? So but if you stay away from that temptation, by getting one, you stay away from that temptation because you know that okay, I only have one. I need to take care of it. I can't mess it up. I need to make sure, like, I hold it dear to my heart. So I don't think you should. I mean, it's my personal opinion. I don't think you should get more than one, right? Get your
You
one.
shouldn't need more than one.
Yeah, I mean, get your one and let it cut and let it cut and just know how to manage it. As I said, the only thing I use mine for when I travel, my rental car, and my hotel, nothing else. The rest of it, I said, hey man, let's go. I don't really need it. So, well, anyway, we got 5 minutes left here. The business segment can go
Wow, it went by so
very, very,
fast.
very, very fast. I mean, and stuff. But the next series I want to move on to her, right? The next segment I want to move on to her, right? I know you already talk about it, but investment and wealth building. I know you say you and your family are thinking about doing another, buying another property. Is like I know you're big into real estate, right? It's like, but I mean, it's like what make you to make that kind of a money moves, right? It's just like you just want to keep building, building wealth, doing the right investment and things like, or is this the right time to actually be in the real estate market, for folks out there, who may be looking to buy properties? Is it the right time? Is it the right year?
It is a good time. There's so much commercial property on the market for sale,
Oh,
right? I feel like there's some really great deals.
okay.
The only thing that's wrong with the market right now is the interest rate, right?
Hmm.
But again, if you have that right credit score, and you can always refinance when so just look at it, especially if you're doing this for commercial. I wouldn't do this for residential, or it's your first time home, right? You
Hmm.
still want to be able to afford your home. You don't want to be like, I can always say, house rich and cash poor.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
if you're trying to invest in the commercial real estate, just don't let the interest rate be your deterrent. If you can find that right property that's going to cash flow well,
Hmm.
give you that return on your investment, it would make you won't be bothered by the interest rate, because interest rate is really determining how much are you going to pay every month, right?
Hmm.
But again, if you find the right property, let's just say you have a $500,000
Yeah.
commercial property.
Hmm.
$500,000, you probably need, like, maybe that's going to cost you, let's just say, $6,000 to $7,000 a month, right?
Hmm.
What can happen is you could probably cash flow anywhere from 10 to 15, depending
Wow.
what you're yes, what you're doing with that space, right? For
Hmm.
us, we're renting our lot right now. It doesn't make sense, the money we're spending to rent, we
Hmm.
should be owning, right?
Okay.
That's money would make more sense, we're be investing in us. And for us is providing additional services, right? So what really makes money in the car dealership is the auto services.
Mm.
That's why you see most dealerships want to do your oil change. They want to fix your car. They want to do that body work, because that is where that real money is being happening on a more consistent basis. Sometimes it may take you 2-3 months to sell a car, right?
Yeah, yeah.
As whatever you're probably doing in that mechanic shop in those auto services, you could be doing $2,000, $3,000 a week alone just in sales from that, right?
Okay.
So we want to
Okay.
be able to tap into that, right? And we want to rent some space out to other folks too. Mechanics are having difficulty finding shops to work out of. Our folks, our immigrant folks,
Yeah,
they need a place. They're good with their hands. They're good at what they do, but they need a place to rent. And so that's some of the thing that's behind us wanting to make a commercial purchase
that's
this
good.
year.
Good.
Not
Mhm.
necessarily a residential, but we want to make a commercial purchase as far as somewhere for the car lot and mechanic shop.
Oh, that's good. I think that's a strategic move, right? Because as I said, right, especially folks in our community, sometimes, right, it's like they have the talent, they have the skills, but to find place to rent or find place, or someone like us to rent it to them is hard. So if you guys
Very
are
hard.
making such a strategic move, kudos to you, and hopefully that can work. But I think, right, as I talk about investment, I would say, for me, I say I'm big into, the stock market thing. I think it's the right year. The market right now it's like up and down, right? It's like, they are even giving my man a name Taco because that 1 minute, 1 minute, 1 minute he make a tariff announcement, and the next minute, he changed his mind and all those stuff. So I think it is a right, you know what I mean? It's like, but it's a risky place to play. But I think, you know what I mean, it's the right time. I mean, the US economy, it's always the right time to invest in it in the stock market. There are great companies out there. Apple is out there. I mean, cheap in my
Yeah.
word, but you know what I mean. And a lot of great companies out there. So that's one of the areas I'm really, really trying to hone in. Right? It's like obviously, here's the thing though, right? And I know you are so big into real estate. I used to have an investment property, and I just sour on it because HOA. HOA is crap. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I mean,
That part, that's kicking
I
our
was
butt.
getting breaking even on that crap, and
Yeah.
then like, here comes this HOA. It was more expensive than my own resident HOA. I said, so what the crap is this? Why is like so I said, hey man, it's like this thing is not worth it. So for me, right, I like to go into areas that I know. And as I said, this year, I want to bring some. I think a couple of weeks ago we all talked about this with Miss Cherry. I want to kind of bring my friends on board to say, hey man, let's focus on this. Let's do this. Let's do this as a community. Let's do this as a group and see where it goes. Right? Who knows? Right? We can become a BlackRock, or we can become like Fidelity. What I mean, stuff like
Yes.
that, and we can grow our world. So that's where to me, like, that's where my focus is this year in terms of investment. Trying to bring friends, close friends to me, say, hey man, let's do this, right? Hey,
Yeah.
you might not understand it, but I can be the lead, and we can all do this together, and maybe we can hold each other accountable to see how best we can grow it. So that's where I'm focused this year. So, but your real estate
I'm
play, I
excited
think is
about
good.
that too. Yeah, I mean, even real estate, you don't have to do it alone, right? So
Hmm,
if
hmm,
you
hmm.
can invest in other folks together and buy a more cash flowing
Yeah.
investment, right? Instead of a
Hmm,
single family home or a condo, a
hmm,
multifamily unit is going to repay will be a better return than that
hmm.
single family home. And we're learning, right?
Yeah.
We're learning. So there's a lot of things if we were more knowledgeable, we would have done differently. And so that's why I like about the Inner Circle podcast.
Hmm.
We're finding different information and we're bringing it to you that so you can kind of skip or bypass some of the mistakes that we've
Yeah.
made, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so
Definitely.
yeah,
Definitely. Well, folks, I mean, we've been talking to you here for the last 1 hour, and tonight our topic, the topic we've been discussing, like money move series, right? Mid-year check. We're doing a mid-year check. How's your budget? How's your investment? Where are you going to invest? For the rest of the year. So, but there's a 1 hour show, and we can't keep going. So we gotta, unfortunately, so every good thing must come to an end. So we gotta wrap it up here. So, Miss B, though, so what message you want to leave with folks tonight as we wrap it up in terms of for the remaining 6 months, what should they be doing in terms of investment, in terms of their expenditure, savings? What should they be doing for the next 6 months?
sit
From
down
your
with yourself, make time with yourself or your partner, and really look at the numbers.
Mhm.
Really, really, really. I sleep with everything that's going on. I think for me, I sleep the most comfortable at night because I can pay my bills.
Yeah.
That brings me so much comfort and ease when I know that I can pay my bills and I don't have to be struggling. I don't have to be wondering where it's coming from. So I would say do yourself that solid. Just sit down and really pay attention and look at your numbers and see what you got going on and just set realistic goals. Because I know sometimes we are already maximizing our income the best we
Mhm.
can. But
Yeah.
even if you can find $50, it adds up. It really does to
Yeah.
save.
Yeah. No, no, no. I agree with you. And folks, yeah, definitely. I mean, that's a good message, right? Always do a check. Whether it's monthly check, we are doing a May check here tonight, or even that monthly check or weekly check. Sometimes look at it as like, where am I spending the most, right? Am I spending more on groceries? It's like, is my car insurance costing me a lot? Can I maybe try to look somewhere else? And things like that. So always try to do that. Is a weekly, monthly, or mid-year as we're doing tonight. And it's like if you're not on track, you still got 6 months to be on track to see how best because life moves, right? Life is not waiting for you. The country move very fast. But every Wednesday we are here at you telling you about financial moves, business moves, where you can invest your money, where you can make your, and that we all need to learn, right, for our money to work for us. I think the biggest mistake we make in our African immigrant community, we are working too much for the money. And the money is not
Mm,
working, and the money is not working for us. So
too
we all
much.
need to learn that, right? We need to, in order for us to build wealth, we need to learn for our money to start working for us. I think that I always say that's the advantage the other folks got over us. The folks, man, their money be working for them. For us, we are working for our money, and our money is not working for us. So I think the message I want to leave with folks out there tonight: find a way so your money can work for you. Let us
Yes.
all find a way, and this includes me, right? I struggle with that because sometimes you're trying to juggle so many things. Let us all find a way for our money to work for us instead of us just working for this money all the time. Sometimes that's how we get discouraged, we get disgruntled. Some of us say they continue too high. I don't want to be here. Like when you go back, then when you go back across the ocean, it's gonna get any easier. No. What we need to
No.
do is, is find a way for our money to work for us. So that's the message, folks. I want to leave with you guys tonight. But thank you so much, Miss B, my co-host, for
Thank you.
contributing to
Thank
the
you, Abe,
discussion
for
tonight.
another great night of
Yeah, yeah, and
conversation.
definitely. And folks, thank you so much for joining us. Follow us on Facebook. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's growing. And we're going to be back here tomorrow, right? It's like last month, folks, they were all celebrating mothers, mothers, mothers. So guess what we're going to do here on Cycle Podcast, right? Even though Father's Day, it is following weekend, but we're going to start celebrating fathers tomorrow. So it's like, think about the father in your life, right? How did they contribute to your life? What what we're just going to reflect on fathers, right, their contribution to
Nice,
society and
nice.
things like that. So tomorrow, that's our topic. Fathers, as I say, last month they were celebrating all these mothers out here. They were giving them all kind of lavish gifts. So we want to see what gifts the fathers are going to get this month. So that's our topic tomorrow. Hopefully you guys
Like,
can
get your
join.
toiletry bags.
Exactly. So but anyway, folks, see you all tomorrow, and good night.
Hearts unite,
Good night,
Yeah,
everyone.
good night.
sharing our truths, bringing hope to the light. Community.